This episode of Rookie Hunter is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation. Adventures in sheep country can change your life. And as residents of BC, we're very fortunate to have 3 different species of sheep in our province. After attending the Wild Sheep Foundation's annual convention, Sheep Show, in Reno, Nevada, we got to see what conservation looks like firsthand. The Wild Sheep Foundation's ability to raise and put millions of dollars on the ground each year to keep these majestic animals on the mountaintops worldwide is unmatched. The Wild Sheep family is a diverse group of people from all walks of life, and membership is open to anyone. Whether you're a seasoned pro, it's your first time on the mountain, or you just like to see sheep on the hillside, you can sign up and join today. Kelly and I are lifetime members, but you can become an annual member for just $45. You can also become a member of the Less Than One Club, which is the only club you want to get kicked out of. If you've never taken a North American or international ram, you can join us in the Less Than One Club for an extra $25. Plus, Less Than One Club membership also includes entry into a draw for 3 separate Doll sheep hunts, which will be given away at Sheep Show in 2019. For more information on the Wild Sheep Foundation and to become a member, head over to wildsheepfoundation.org. Hey guys, welcome to episode 74 of Rookie Hunter. We're back in the studio today after a quick hunt. We're going to pick up where we left off on episode 73. We had another day left out there and some stuff that happened after we turned off the recorder that evening. So ran into some rain, some snakes, some injuries, all kinds of good stuff. So lots to talk about. We're also going to announce the winner of the knife from North Arm Knives. We're also going to talk about some wild game we shared with some family and friends over the weekend. That's always fun. Please do support our sponsors, of course, North Arm Knives, who created that beautiful custom knife for one lucky winner. And please become a member of the Wild Sheep Foundation. Should also mention that Sheep Show 2019 is open for registration. You can head over to the wildsheepfoundation.org to get yourself signed up, book your tickets, book your flight, book your rental car, get your buddies ready for a road trip. Whatever you got to do, we'll be there. So I hope to see some of you guys there. Make sure you track us down and maybe have a few pints with us. Let's get into this episode. Sit back, relax. And oh my God, it's still Sober September. So I'm hitting the water. But if you're hitting the beer, please have a couple for Kelly and I. Enjoy episode 74. Tiny Tim, how you doing?
Hop along.
We'll come back to that. Let's announce the winner of the North Arm Knife.
The winner of
you guys ready
the
for
Mallard
this?
North Arm Knife is Jareed Samuel.
Nice.
Or Jareed Samuel. I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly, but you won yourself a Mallard North Arm Knife. So congrats.
Send us your address.
Yeah, he's got he's actually got 2 photos here. One of his glass and spot and a cool MR James quote, which kind of, ties into why we go out there and what we appreciate. So
you want to read it?
Sure. It's a little long, but I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. In my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time.
Nice.
Yeah, which is a cool quote, faux show.
Yeah, congrats, man. Enjoy the knife and make sure you post some photos of it in action.
Yeah. So, what's new on your side?
Oh, not much. Just working.
Yeah, work. Yeah.
Working towards getting out of here for moose hunt. That's what it's all for.
Yeah, I mean, the days keep flipping by, so.
They are going by fast, man. It's not that far away.
Yeah, we're almost in October now.
Yeah.
What day is it today? 25th?
25th? 26th. Nice.
So,
Sweet.
I like this time of year. It's right when all the trees start turning yellow.
Yeah, it's nice out. It's
pretty cool.
Another one of those funny years where there's no transition period. It went from hot, smoky August, and then it just got cold and everything turned colors overnight.
Yeah.
But as a hunter, you kind of welcome that. And we're getting some sun again, which is kind of nice. Some some good fall weather. I'm digging it. So
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it while it lasts.
Definitely.
Shall we pick up where we left off on our last hunt?
Yeah. So we left, we were glassing, right? We were kind of nearing twilight,
Yeah.
looking for deer, watching I guess we didn't talk about the bear.
No, the black bear actually showed up, I don't know, maybe a half hour after we quit recording. He was way across this bowl that we were in and stuck out like a sore thumb, just this big black shiny blob cruising through, basically just following the base of a cliff, and he was flipping over rocks. And at one point he crawled up on the side of that cliff. I don't know what he was getting into, but he was standing up on his hind legs there and pawing at some, I don't know what he was doing, but it was pretty fun to watch him.
It was fun to watch him kind of use his paws to grab branches and kind of pull them toward. He would just strip them all the berries and then reach in again. Yeah. And then he was hopping along windfall, and he would test another little tree that he was going to jump on, and he'd tap it for a while, and then he's like, oh yeah, I think it's good, and then he'd make the leap. So I was kind of laughing at him the whole time.
Yeah.
Pretty
and
cool
he's
animals.
loud, man. Like you hear him flipping rocks, and I don't know what he's looking for. Just bugs and shit, probably. Pretty cool. We had a tag for a black bear, and it was a decent bear. It wasn't a monster, but definitely one that we were thinking about going after. But it's funny, man. I just didn't have it in my head that we were going in there for a black bear, even though I think we saw 4 or 5 of them, 4 for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't feel it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If we had gone in there for a black bear, well, it would have been a different story, but it was just fun to sit there and watch them and do all that kind of stuff. And we hadn't even tried, or I hadn't tried that black bear yet. I have now, which we'll come back around to. So,
in the moment, I kind of thought, well, we might regret this decision later, but it depends on the outcome of the whole season.
Totally.
And hindsight's 2020, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we know there's lots of bears in that area, so
so
it's not that far to drive back down there and do that all over again if we wanted to.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of the highlights, was just knowing that we can go in there for that authentic black bear hunt, right?
Totally. Yep. Which
it's pretty cool.
Is what we want to do this next time around, so that's the place to do it.
Yeah.
What else did we do that with the campfire ban? Even though we said it was like 99.9% sure we weren't going to be able to have one, it got lifted like 2 days after we recorded that.
Yeah, we hit the 1%.
Yeah, so we were able to have a nice campfire on the second night there.
Again, I have to give a shout out to that Helinox chair, Helinox or whatever, because you sit down and enjoy the fire. But if you don't have a chair, then you can sit on a stump or the ground or whatever, but there's just nothing like leaning back on a chair.
It's true. You let me sit in it for 2 minutes. It was pretty nice.
But we had a lot of wood there too. So it's nice too when you don't feel limited by resources and you can just have a blazing fire the whole time.
Yeah, it was really nice, man.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good old campfire. I don't remember the last time I had one.
Yeah.
Last year.
It's good.
Yeah. So day 3, we had the data hunt. Throughout the night, actually, we had it was just quick little showers on the tent, nothing serious. And we knew that rain was in the forecast, so we kind of figured it might be coming. We also had some thrashing in the bush there. It woke up Oscar, and then I woke up.
Did I wake up?
Yeah, you did. You were sort of like half out of it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You're like, you hear something? I'm like, it's all good. I think it's just a deer or something. So you could, when you're laying on the ground like that, so I think something sort of ran by, and it's almost like you can hear the thump, thump, thump. Not much of it.
Oh yeah, I do remember this.
And then heard a crack.
Just based on the animals we were seeing, my bet it was a black bear whipping by, because you get caught in certain areas where I think they need to get by somehow. So they probably just, but like you said, you kind of thought it sounded like a deer, and we did see some tracks. So who knows? Yeah.
Could have been either or, but it stayed away from the tent, which was good. If it was a bear, then keep on walking. Yeah, so we got up pretty early. We had lots of water, as we mentioned. That was a bit of a journey to find water.
Yeah.
And we wanted to check out another leg of the trail that we didn't get to see. And anywhere you go in BC, you're going to run into burnt areas. This area that we got into in particular was pretty much scorched. Like there's the good burns where you're already starting to see vegetation growing. This particular area must have been hot, man, because there was not a whole lot going on there. It was just like dry dirt, and the fire was so intense that you can actually see holes where the roots were underground, and if you look in there, they just keep traveling. So this thing was burning underground, and pretty crazy.
Yeah, it looked like a bunch of gopher holes.
Yeah,
but it was funny because we actually found water like 1/5 of the distance away, which I don't know if that's a learning for us, maybe to do like the short distance circle first, the perimeter, and then do the long distance. But we're both happy with what we did.
Yeah, my hunch originally was to go that way.
Yeah.
Just knowing that lake that we were trying to get to was way up there, right? And a direct path, even though it might look longer as the crow flies, is going to be much faster. So it didn't really matter so much because either way, there was going to be a guaranteed water source, and we got to explore a pretty wide area that we might not have necessarily gone to on day 2 there. So it all worked out. But now that we've gone in there, this was very much it was a hunt, but also an opportunity to explore a new area. So we go back again, it's going to be a whole lot easier to decide where to set up camp and where we can get water. Pretty much got it made. Yeah. Where to find black bears, you name it.
Yep.
One thing we're not sure of is where to find deer and elk. Although I think they're just higher up still. Is sort of the conclusion that we came to. Yeah. Amazing wintering area, I think. Found some sheds.
Yeah, lots of old sign.
Yeah.
But and I mean, just to rewind a little bit, that night when we were leaving the bowl and heading back to camp on the day 2, at the end of our podcast there, when we were heading back and going downhill, it's when you're tired that you end up hurting yourself. And I've had this happen before, but you kind of have the, like I have stiff hiking boots, and sometimes, I'll do a bit of a ankle roll. It's pretty rare, but like you step on a rock going downhill and you get a bit of that ankle roll. And it's a little more dangerous with the stiff boots in a way, because you can get that high ankle sprain, or it kind of forces that twist into your knee. And that's kind of, at the time I didn't realize it, but that's what happened. Was I twisted my ankle and I had my pack on, and you were behind me, and you probably saw my whole leg kind of just cave in there for a second, and then it just popped right back up again.
I know what it's like when you just step on a rock in a funny way and your ankle just kicks out to the right.
Yeah.
Usually it's fine. Yeah. Right? You don't think much of it.
Yeah. And then it happened actually like the next 2 steps, it happened again. So I was like, I don't know if there's a bit of weakness that started right off the bat there from the first time, but like at the time it was fine. I just kept walking. I went back to the tent. And when I woke up in the morning, I felt like little twinges, right, in my knee, because I was sleeping on my side. And then when I woke up, I just kept, I put all my stuff on. We went for a little perimeter walk. Everything was fine. Then as we were going down that little creek, I started noticing like, oh, my knee is actually getting pretty sore. And then on the way out, as we're hiking out there, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where I almost couldn't even like get out of there. Like I was like,
I was worried about it.
It was like an hour per kilometer.
Yeah, it was probably over double the time to get out.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And going downhill and going uphill, if it was totally flat, I could do not too bad. I can get a little bit of a leg swing in there. I could make pretty good time. The second that trail went down, actually downhill was even worse than going uphill. I could hardly really bend my knee. So nothing swelled up, and I've yet to go to the doctor, but I'm going to go to a physio. I think what happened was it's like an LCL injury, like a sprain, just from the twist, or like a meniscus. I'm hoping it's not a meniscus related thing.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was just like a force and a twist. I don't think it was an actual like overuse repetitive thing. I think I can isolate it to that ankle twist, is my theory.
Yeah. Well, you go to physio too. They'll help you kind of determine what it might be and what caused it, how to avoid it.
Yeah.
Which is good to know, so you don't do it again. That's like...
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the thing, is like on the one hand, I think like a wobble board or like yoga or those type of things that help strengthen your muscles around your stabilizing muscles, 100% that's required. From a cardio perspective, we can always do more in that department, but I didn't feel like that was my ultimate weakness.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you is like with something like this, it kind of makes you think about other hunts, right?
Yeah.
And especially the stuff that we have planned for next year. So does this kind of make you think about how you're going to train next year and things you might do differently?
Yeah, like I would say this is the first time in my life where I've actually had something happen that could have an impact based on doing something that's intense that, you didn't really work yourself up to do.
Yeah.
In years past, like we've always been active and, as you get more and more into your career and like office space and all that stuff, you're not as active as you were. And then all of a sudden you're going out with 60-pound pack and you're thinking everything's going to be fine. All it takes is one ankle roll and all of a sudden you're out for the season. So I think for me, it's like a kick in the butt to not just do one thing here, one thing there. Like you really got to make sure that from a stabilization perspective, your whole core and your whole body is ready for that kind of a force.
Yeah. And I think, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of stuff at once, right? I think all the little things add up. And we were talking a bit about this. So like every day, it's not that long, but it's a 4-kilometer hike that I do with Oscar and it's straight up and straight down, right? Yeah. Down is equally as good as going up because
sometimes
they're
harder.
just totally different muscles. So that's like every morning, that's something I do. And again, it's a walk. Sometimes I go and run that too. And then try and do yoga 2-3 times a week. So these aren't like totally strenuous things, but it's that repetitiveness and trying to work muscles that you're going to be using in the hunt and doing that all year round, not just a couple months before you go hunting, because all these little things definitely add up in the long run. And I think Adam Foss said that too. He's like, even if you're just doing 20 push-ups a day, it doesn't seem like much, but if you're doing that for a long time, it definitely adds up and makes a difference. So if you can...
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a huge, pecs out of that, but you are going to work those stabilizing muscles every day, right? So if you're going to start, who knows what, I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to start swinging an axe at some trees or something. Like those 20 push-ups are going to help you.
Totally. Yeah, they'll come in somewhere or come in handy somewhere. And I've tried to get you into the yoga. You'll find something that works for you. But a lot of those exercises too, or they talk about, for people who sit at a desk all day, these are excellent things because it's a way of the world for I spend a lot of time sitting in front of a computer, as do you. Yeah. It's just part of the work world, but you go and do that kind of stuff and you're working on muscles that just aren't getting attention. You're letting other muscles relax that you're using all day long. You're just sitting there holding your head up all day, right?
Exactly.
So, and then the balance part of it too, you spend a lot of time balancing on one leg and all that kind of shit, right? So
I think we talked about that actually, because I went to the one course with you and we talked about it on the podcast. So we went hiking like the day after or something like that. I remember we were hiking over Deadfall in the snow, and I right off the bat, just because we'd worked those muscles the day before, it felt more stabilized going over those trees and stuff, right?
Makes a huge difference, man. I've been doing it for a year now, and before we started recording, I was just talking about some of the differences I noticed. I was sort of like slightly pigeon-toed, and that sort of corrected itself. It was kind of fun. I went early this morning and did the 6 a.m. class, and there's somebody new right next to me that you tell it was their first class. So it kind of made me realize like that's where I started, and this is where I've gotten to. And it's mainly the balance thing that I noticed and realized I can really push myself in some of those different poses and start to think about, especially as we get closer to this moose hunt and stuff, how that stuff is going to help when we're out there. And the big picture thing is going sheep hunting next year.
Well, yeah. And to go back to the moral of the story, I think, is to not, like it can be one little thing over a split second.
Yeah.
That can ruin not just a hunt, but a season, right? So that's eye-opener for me that, I never had that experience before.
Yeah.
And I don't think I like severely injured it. I think it's any type of that injury though, it could be 6 to 8 weeks, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going hiking this weekend, and I had plans to go mule deer hunting.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to do it because I want to make sure I'm good for October, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's the safety perspective of all this, and that's kind of why it's good to push different challenges, and we have to reapproach how we want to do those. But if that happened on a 14-day
Yeah.
sheep hunt, and that happened
Like
on
day
day
2.
3 or day 2,
Yeah.
that sucks, man. You spent all that time, all that money, and you're fucked basically, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in a position where I can't pack you out either. You can't pack me out. So if we're not ready, we got to rely on each other. So
Yep.
I think, these kinds of things happen. And it's not even a big injury, but it just makes you think if it was a bigger injury and how do we handle it? How do we avoid it?
Well, the scary thing with this though is like, no, it's not a big injury, but it actually is debilitating when you're out there, right?
Sure.
Like, so what do you do when you're 30 kilometers out?
Yeah.
Like that's a long, I'm not going to sit out there and starve to death, but at the same time, it's going to be a long haul, right?
Yep.
And it might even involve other people helping out with pack loads and It's just not fun for anybody.
No. So you learn from mistakes and that's why we go out there, and hopefully in the long run, it's a good thing. And it just gets us thinking about next year. And this year we can get away with it a little bit more because this moose hunt is a bit more contained, and it's, we're close to vehicles if something happens, and it's not as big of a deal, but if we're going way the hell up there and getting dropped off by a float plane, we have to be 110% ready to rock and roll.
For sure.
And I'll have to agree to a certain level of fitness and performance and that. So next year's going to be different, I think.
Yeah. And I always use it we talked about gym before, and I actually don't mind the gym. I used to do it a lot back in the day, but even then, like nobody likes working legs. Everybody likes working their upper body, right? And that was something I did. And later on, you realize like that is not a smart thing to do. No. Like you should actually be working your legs and your back and those compound exercises that you're going to get. If your goal is to like get bigger or do whatever, like you're actually going to get bigger just by doing those exercises.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's the big muscles you want to work, like your legs and your back.
Yeah.
And it's a bit counterintuitive, but if you're not working that stuff all at once, then later on you can also develop some issues too because you're off balance.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's all good.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I've done for my own sake, and I did this last year too, is the wallpaper on my phone is big mountains.
Yeah.
So my alarm goes off in the morning at 5 to go to 6 a.m. yoga. I look at those mountains and it's easy to go, I just want to go back to bed. But I think, no, I want to get to the top of those peaks at some point.
Right.
It's a little bit of a motivating factor to have something to stare at. And these mountains are pretty intense. So whatever it takes to get people out, just do it and find the time for it and avoid getting yourself in a shitty situation and not enjoying a hunt that you look forward to all year.
Yeah. Yeah. But the other side of this coin is to know your limits. And, if you haven't been doing this stuff we're talking about, you need to recognize that. And, in that moment, maybe not push yourself to the point where you're going to hurt yourself, but like it's better to be disappointed and recognize it before hurting yourself than to push yourself to that point.
Yeah, totally.
In my opinion, but that's a fine line, obviously.
Yeah, part of that too, I think, is finding compatible hunting partners. So, if you got two guys who are at a certain level and they've got a certain goal, you got two guys who aren't quite there that are pushing themselves to keep up with those guys. That's a conversation you have to have. Yeah. And it's part of choosing a compatible group that's going to work and stay within certain boundaries or go beyond certain boundaries. And if that's the case. Yeah. So it's just discussions that need to be had to avoid.
Yeah. Everybody has to be on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I don't think so.
We hit quite a bit of rain. We had our new Sitka rain gear.
Yep. Which I enjoyed it. I mean, we talked about rain gear being loud, and that's not a surprise. I do find that this rain gear is a little lighter. Yeah. Than what we were running before. Yeah. I do like the feel of it. And we also whipped out the pack covers. Yeah. If it starts raining a little bit and you don't know if it's going to stop, just take all your stuff out. Put your cover on your binos, put your pack cover on, put your rain gear on, and just get it on. And then what happened, 5 minutes later, downpour. Yeah. And we were all ready to go.
For sure.
That is a good move, I think. And it's something that's taken us quite a long time to actually give into.
I know. We talked about this the first hunt that I went on this year on opening day. I put it off for too long. It didn't really matter because it was a 1-day hunt, but it's just a wake up call. And like, just stop for 5 seconds, man, and put your freaking rain gear on.
Yeah.
It's not worth being wet and miserable.
Yeah.
Even more important on a multi-day trip.
Yeah. It's better to take 5 minutes on the front end than deal with like an hour of drying shit out on the back end.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Oh, that's a recurring statement.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really happy with all that equipment we've got. All of our stuff, pretty much all of our hunting gear, packs, little stuff, safety stuff, everything's up on our website. So if you go to the rookiehunter.com, there's a gear tab. There's one for Kelly. There's one for me. And we still have our pack stuff up from last year, what we brought for our hunt up north, if anyone's curious to check that stuff out and see what it weighed. And yeah, so we got some nice stuff, and I'm really happy with how it's all performing. And nice that we were actually getting the conditions to use it in too. I found like every time I've bought something in the past and I'm excited for it, say it's rain gear, you don't get rain for like a month and a half, and you got rain gear that's just sitting there waiting to be used. But we've been lucky with some shitty weather and got to try all this stuff. It's been cold, it's been wet, it's been sunny, it's been everything. So we'll have more reviews, I'm sure, down the road.
Yep.
Rattlesnakes.
Oh man, I hate those things.
Mother effers.
We talked about, the last episode I mentioned the one I almost stepped on.
Yeah, I think I might have chopped that out actually because I can't remember why. It was in a second update or something like that. It's too
scary.
Yeah. Yeah, you texted me and said, heads up, rattlesnake on the trail. I'm like, oh God, it's got the dog.
That's all I said.
Yeah.
I could have mentioned like
location.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like anywhere in the next, 10K, 15K, you're going to see a rattlesnake.
I never did see him, but what was your encounter like? Because I'll explain mine too.
Well, I was going uphill. This is pre like knee injury. So I'm like
giving it
ripping uphill. And I'm just about to put my left foot down and I hear, and I'm like, oh shit. So the second I heard that, I did this like weird reverse jump backwards. And then I looked and there was a rattlesnake that was moving away. They're pretty shy and they don't want to confront anything typically. So, which is good, but it's moving away from me. It's going over this little log. Then I see the white shaker flicker as it goes over. And that was about when I shit my pants. So I hadn't actually seen one in the wild. Like I knew they were around the southern Okanagan, but.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because oftentimes people will mistake bull snakes for rattlesnakes. They look quite similar. I've seen some huge bull snakes, and they're pretty aggressive little, or not little, they're big.
Yeah, they're more aggressive than rattlesnakes.
Yeah, and they hiss. So a lot of people will see a bull snake and they'll think that it's a rattlesnake. So I asked you that. You said, no, I saw the tail, and the tail is pretty.
I was going to get my camera out, but it was like, there wasn't a lot of open. It was pretty thick grass there, so I would have had to get in a little bit, and then I was by myself, so I was like, I'm just going to run past this thing, screw it, because I know snakes can move pretty quick if they want to, but so that was the first encounter. Yeah. And then on the way out, when you were ahead of me there, as I was limping my way.
These are two totally different, probably spread out by a couple of kilometers, so I doubt it was the same snake.
No, not the same snake.
But I was coming down the trail, actually pretty close to the end of the trail, getting close to the vehicle. And same thing, I heard the rattle. I've never heard the rattle before, but for some reason, there's something primal in your brain. It definitely got my attention real quick. And I stopped and looked, and the thing was right off to my right. And he was kind of like curled back, like in a defense position with the tail up and his head up too. And sort of coiled up a little bit and trying to back up. And that's one of the cool things I thought about the encounter with the snake is like, you think of a rattlesnake and you think there's just this mean bastard that wants to kill you, right? They don't want anything to do with you, and they're trying to let you know that they're there. They don't want to get stepped on. They don't necessarily want to attack you. They just want to get away from you. So luckily I stopped. Oscar was on the leash, and I sort of just backed up, gave it some space, and then it started to move off the trail, and as it wasn't going that fast actually, but it was just slowly making its way, and you could see it was keeping an eye on us to watch what we're doing. And I got a quick video which is up on our Instagram there if anybody wants to see it. But that was a big snake, and you definitely know a rattlesnake when you see one. It was pretty wild. Always wanted to see one, kind of didn't ever want to see one, but funny that, both of us had never seen a rattlesnake. And then within a couple of days, we see two different ones in two different areas.
It's funny because they were both kind of low.
Yeah. I think they're just getting in this last bit of sun and just baking on the rocks.
Heat,
and the trail is a good place for them to do that. But I'm happy if I don't see another one.
Yeah, me too. They're protected in BC, so
yeah. Somebody commented
you can eat them, but you can't capture or kill them here. So
no. Yeah, they're a native species here, so I guess it's a good thing that they're starting to show up more often. But again, just not something you want to run into, especially if you got a dog with you and you're out hiking or whatever. Be careful.
Yeah.
But pretty cool.
Yeah.
So now that we've finished our hunt, it was a quick one. Anything you would change? Anything you do different with your pack? Anything you leave behind? We talked about this a little bit already, but
yeah, no. Equipment wise, I didn't have any issues. I mean, my pack, I mentioned before, is a little bit slower in its configuration when you're going from full blown expedition mode to day mode.
Yeah.
So I've learned, like, the more and more you do it, the quicker and quicker you get.
It becomes a process. Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a process. But like with certain packs, they're kind of preformed and they don't, whether you're running it day mode or pack mode, it kind of is the same pack, right? So you don't have to like worry too much about it. But mine's kind of like this big canvas potato bag.
Yeah.
And you really got to like cinch it up when you're not using that space. So, I mean, it's pros and cons, and there are a lot of pros to that too when you do need to expand it. But it's just something that gets better with practice. And I don't know. I mean, the one thing I had noted was really making sure that we are in the right spots at the right times. Like really kind of planning out, okay, we need to use this amount of time to get here, and then we got to sit there from X to X.
Yeah.
And then midday we're going to move, and then by twilight we're going to sit.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that when you're sitting in an office and you're not, out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like fishing, and you know exactly what your plan's going to be, and then you get in the boat and it all just goes to hell, right?
Yeah.
But
if and when, I'm sure when we go back, I think it's just a matter of getting to where we were on day 2, on day 1, and then you're there.
Yeah. And then, the other thing obviously too is when you're going in a spot you've never been, you don't really know where we're going, right?
Exactly.
But maybe that bowl, like now that we know it's there, it's like, hey, we got to get to that bowl, and then we're going to spend that morning there. And then
exactly.
You kind of lay out your day.
Yeah.
But
I think with the time we had and not have not have gone in there before, did okay.
Yeah. For me, it was an exploratory trip that it didn't matter to me as much if we got anything or not.
Yeah.
I would have loved to get something, and we were prepared for that, but that wasn't like the sole reason I was going in.
No, that's something I need to get out of my system. I'm not going to go into details on the moose hunt again, but I needed that backcountry experience somewhere where it's just your 2 feet or 4 if you got a horse, and that's it. Nobody else.
In this hunt, it felt more than any other hunt that an animal was a bonus.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Had an awesome time.
Maybe other than the northern hunt, because that was,
of course, that's
that's another level.
Totally. Yeah, mission accomplished, I'd say.
Yeah. Just so everyone's clear, we did not get an animal.
Yeah, we didn't. This is no cliffhanger episode. We didn't get anything. There was a few grouse. I should have brought my slingshot. A couple of big ones there.
Just like I come around a corner and Mike's sitting there with a big rock. I'm like, what's he doing here? To see a bear?
I wouldn't go for the rock. Wouldn't be my go-to. If
I was hoping,
a bear. Yeah. But thought we could bring home. It'd be like our first ever hunt when we were gone for 5 days or something like that. We came back with a grouse.
Yeah,
it was our first season, and our wives were
we could have eaten it over the fire.
We could have. But yeah, anyway, good times.
I also learned not to hang food in front of Oscar.
Yeah.
Because I was hiking, I had my pro bar in my hand, and then I would my stride, and then I'd bring my hand back to eat the rest. It was gone.
Little bastard. He's sneaky. Keep an eye on that little gray bastard.
Yep.
Saturday, we Well, it's been a long time coming. I've been working on my place, and we finally did the last little bit. The painter came and did the last few touches. So we wanted to have some people over. Finally, now that the house is put back together. So we had a little dinner party, and we had a fair bit of wild game on the menu, which was fun. Bear being one of them.
Yeah.
I put together these charcuterie boards and stuff like that. So I had some, I don't know if that was whitetail. I had farmer's sausage from previous season. That was one I was kind of stashing for special occasion. That was on there. The smokies I had on there, the bear smokies. And then a whole whack of other stuff. There was like pork belly and duck fat, salami. And you guys kind of missed out on that because you had to take Norris to the vet there. But anyways, had a nice spread and everybody really enjoyed it, including the bear disappeared pretty fast. So that made me happy.
I ate quite a bit of that.
They're good, man.
Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts on them, by the way? We've never really, I guess we haven't at all talked about them.
The bear sausages?
Yeah.
They're good. I think they're accessible I think we wanted something with this first bear, at least from the process side, that was accessible to people.
Yeah.
That we could use as a conversation starter. And there's 3 or 4 folks at your place that were not necessarily
they'd never
hunting
had
or had eaten bear.
4 people that had never had bear.
Yeah.
And they ate more than one piece, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it's, super accessible. So I think that was kind of the goal for this, and they taste great.
Yeah. My only thought, and we should have mentioned this when we were there, because we did that last time we got stuff made, was to hold back on the salt a little bit. Find them a touch salty. You eat a couple of those and you're parched.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but usually they're a little bit more on the salt.
I think most people kind of like that, but for me, if I don't need that much seasoning. I like to taste the meat, but that was my only thought, was you could just pull that back a little bit and they'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They taste great. So
yeah,
something to keep in mind for next time. The other thing made was, it was a venison bolognese. So traditionally a bolognese sauce is made up of 3 different meats. You usually have beef, a bit of pork, and something like lamb.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of lamb, I put a shitload of venison in there, which was the mule deer from last year that I had already ground up and frozen, everything like that. So that was part of that. And that along with homemade pasta, I have a pasta maker. You just picked one up too.
Yep, same one.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
It's a lot of fun to make that stuff. It's not that hard. It takes a bit of time to kind of get your dough right and that, but once you get it, you get it. So
yeah,
the recipe, if anybody wants to try it, I thought it was really good. I've made it a couple times now. Is from Ricardo. We'll put up a link on our blog, on our website, if you want to check that out. It's a pretty traditional recipe. Bolognese sauce comes from Bologna in Italy, and Ash and I are heading there in Christmas.
Yeah.
So it was another reason for kind of doing that recipe and kind of having an Italian themed night. So while I'm in Bologna, I want to take a pasta making class. There's lots of that stuff.
Cool.
Through Airbnb, they have experiences that you can do too.
Yep.
And pasta making was one of them. So I want to try and find a old Italian woman.
Sweet.
She can teach me how to make it like a.
And then I can get the lesson
third hand. And I'll give you a lesson. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think we're doing a good job with it, but I'm sure they have little tricks and tips that make all the difference. So that should be fun.
Cool.
But yeah, it's fun, man. I really love cooking and sharing that kind of stuff with people and watching them enjoy it.
Yeah, it was really good. So what do you have? The salad with like local pears and a balsamic and
everything.
red onion.
Just about everything was local. A lot of the cheeses, meats, obviously
the bologna. What is it called? The sauce?
Bolognese.
It's kind of like the turducken of meat sauce.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And even the flour that we use for the pasta is from Armstrong. They do that up there.
Cool. And then you had duck eggs in them?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So say it calls for 5 eggs. I usually do 2 duck eggs and 3 just regular farm eggs. The duck eggs have a bit more fat to them. They're good. That's my secret. I don't know if the Italian ladies are going to be doing that, but we'll see what they say.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a big no-no.
It's like, were we talking about borscht?
When?
At your place there?
Oh, maybe.
How like you can't stir it? As soon as somebody stirs it, they
It's like
just
a
throw the
layer.
whole pot outside.
Yeah,
They just starts from scratch.
Yeah, that's
There's
hilarious.
just certain rules and
Certain rules.
culture. When you get like 100% into the culture like that,
Yeah.
you gotta
follow the rules.
And the Italians will tell you too. They're not.
Oh, they
they're not
don't
going to be
hold
shy.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get a spatula across the knuckles. I got lots of Italians in my family, so I love that culture for sure. Cool, man. Anything else you want to add to this episode?
Anything to add? No, I don't think so. I'm just powering through this. No drinks. And
I know,
September,
it's tough.
And yeah, we're getting there.
Do you feel like it's had any benefit?
I don't know. Maybe I should jump on a scale or something.
Yeah. I feel no benefit.
Me neither.
I'm curious though if either I didn't weigh myself before, but curious if either of us have lost any weight. I feel no.
Yeah, I don't feel any different. All I feel is a bit of knee pain.
Yeah.
So I guess we can conclude that if you don't drink beer, you get knee pain.
That's right. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Got to keep drinking.
My balance was off.
Oh, nice. Next week, we're going to talk about chronic wasting disease. It's popping up all over the place. It's sort of one of those things that you hear about and disappears. It seems to be becoming a bit more prevalent in the news lately.
Yeah,
and
it's
kind of a
scary
scary
because
thing.
if you listen, there's a Joe Rogan episode that he talks with a specialist about it, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I picked out of that was that the deer can have it before you can actually test for it.
Right.
Or like it can be spreading it through like urine or shedding or whatever. And even the deer isn't showing signs yet.
Right.
And also that I don't think they're 100% sure if it can move into humans.
They say no, but I would be avoiding that because
but
it's
there's
sort
a
of an
bug, right?
unknown. Yeah.
Almost like, I don't know. I don't think it's a big concern in BC right now, but the way it's going worldwide or North America wide.
Well, it's in Alberta. It's in Saskatchewan.
It's in Quebec.
And it just showed up in Quebec at I think it was actually like what's the word I'm looking for? It was a farm, basically.
Yeah.
Where it showed up. So
it's in Colorado and Wisconsin and a bunch of places down there.
Yeah, it's scary, man. That's the kind of thing that could knock hunting right out of our hands. Imagine not being able to hunt deer around here.
Yeah.
That would suck. So we're going to do some research and talk about it next week. We're also pursuing an expert that can shed some light on it from an educated background. So that'll be next week. Anything else, Cal?
Nope.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. This episode of Rookie Hunter was also brought to you by North Arm Knives. North Arm Knives are handcrafted and sold directly through a father and son team right here in British Columbia. Choose from a selection of outdoor knives, kitchen knives, and custom engravings from northarmknives.com. They ship internationally and guarantee all of their work. Kelly and I have put their products to the ultimate test and give them our stamp of approval. Head over to northarmknives.com.